militarism recognizes the centrality of
Governance.
powers.
Yes.
That, and, the military system of, administration is one of command and control. But in a democratic system, just like, take for example what the present administration has done with regards to the distribution of palliatives. The federal government has, and the states now, even the local government are also playing that role. That is a form of devolution, because the federal government does not have direct contact with people. I'll give you this clear example. If there's a crisis here in...
One second before you go on. Sorry, we have Shola from Aja. It's obvious we have missed it in the place of parenting. How then can we get it right? Get the situation back. Back then, everything is different from what it is today now. That's Shola from Aja. Quickly, you want to help us respond?
Yes, Shola, thank you very much for the question. We can get it right only if we go back to the basics. There's no two ways about parenting. I'm a product of parenting. I'm transferring it, and those that have transferred it to also have a duty to transfer it to those coming behind. So there's no magic about parenting. That as a parent, if your child comes home, like Yoba says, your child is not a laundry man. He brings in different types of... Come on, Mr. Man, come. Where did you get this clothes from? Don't bring it into my... I've had opportunity of talking to people who will tell you, when I started work and my office gave me an official car after about 3-6 months, and when I took it home, my father just said, Mr. Man, return that car. That car will not enter this compound. How much is your salary? Until they educated the parents that daddy belongs to my office. That is parenting. It's no magic. That those values, why do you have religious institution? Is to, help us grind our children in the ways of our maker. And what is the ways of our maker? The laws of, the laws that do not steal. Do not take what does not belong to you. Do not fornicate.
And don't be envious.
Don't be envious. It's simple. It's not magic. Those are values our parents held on to. Some of us are also beneficiaries of now, and we are passing it on to us. So there's no magic about parenting.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. Now we also have another viewer who says, I think the military can be co-opted into our democracy because from what we have experienced, there was high level of discipline during the military era than it is now. For example, traffic management in Lagos State. This is Grace from, is that? I didn't get it that. Maybe UI or something.
Thank you again, Grace. I think you must recognize that, like Heraclitus rightly said, Heraclitus is a philosopher.
Yes.
He said, I will summarize it, that no two situations are the same. The environment, the community as it was in those era when you were talking about is not the same as we have it today. Don't forget, then we had fewer vehicles on the road, we had fewer population, but today the population is not the same. I'm sure you know that the population of Lagos, like we speak, is about 20-something million.
Over 20.
Compared to them that would have been less than even 5 million.
Yes.
So you look at our values like we rightly said here, such that somebody in those days, if you put a vehicle on the road and it's not licensed and it's not painted in the commercial colors, nobody will buy your vehicle. People were law-abiding by themselves, but the economic situation due to misgovernance and erosion of our values has made us all, like the former chief of army staff, late Lieutenant General Saliu Ibrahim, when he was being pulled out of the Nigerian Army in 1994, he said, under former military dictator Babangida, the army became an army of anything goes. So we are in a society where anything goes. People don't have... I bought public transport at times when I want to sample public opinion.
Yes.
And you see people in a bus, we tell a driver, stop here, let me get down. I'm like, Mr. Man, that's the bus stop. The government used money to construct the bus stop. As citizens, we should not be encouraging ourselves to break the laws. Government has spent millions of taxpayers' money to construct a pedestrian. Go to Ojota, 2 pedestrian bridges, less than 10 meters to each other. Thousands of people will be running across the road like hyena. So is it the government that will teach you that?
Okay, all right. We still have one more contribution from one of our viewers. I think my producer would like to let us screen that so we can pass it on to Nelson. But before we see that comment, do you think there is any optimism in the unfolding democratic experience we're going through right here in Nigeria, and which we hopefully should also transcend to the whole of Africa? Do you see? Are you optimistic that yes, this experience will?
I'm one of the greatest optimists God has ever created. You know why? Yesterday night, I went to bed. It's because I was optimistic.
Also in the new day.
That I'm here. So, I'm very, very optimistic. But, in the midst of my optimism, I must also make it known to our viewers that we have a responsibility. People must recognize that as we have rights, our rights comes with responsibility. And that responsibility is that we must educate ourselves. The education I'm talking about is that for us to recognize, the limitations that we have as human beings. When people talk about government, I tell them government is not spiritual. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a human being. If you use a needle to touch his body and press it further, blood will come out, just like if you do it to me. So persons must recognize that as citizens, as we make our bed, so we lie on it. Whatever role you find yourself occupying, do it well. Do it with the mindset that, look, I want to leave my footprints in the sand of time. The democracy we are talking about, democracy is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. What is that means of? What is democracy? Democracy is a means to give democratic dividends to people. And what are the democratic dividends? Things that will make life meaningful. Education, agriculture, food, health, and what have you. And as citizens, we must recognize that our role does not begin and end. This is a sermon I always give. My responsibility as a Nigerian does not begin and end on that day when I went to the polling station to cast my vote. At every point in time, when I see things going wrong, I should speak out. When I see things going right, I should speak out and comment. And if I have an idea of how to make the society better, I must not shy away. And God being on our side, today everybody has become a journalist. You have a Facebook, TikTok, X now, Instagram, LinkedIn and Snapchat, that you can pour out your mind. You can use that, to showcase your skill to the world. So, as citizens, I expect us all to recognize those limitations of ours and continue to be law-abiding at all times.
Okay, all right. Before we leave, because my producer is saying that if we allow Nelson to be here as a media guru, he's going to actually take us to the next hour. But before we go, governance. So how do we resolve, okay, we are ending this government. The next one is coming in. That transition, it's a little bit clumsy around here. How do we manage that?
Well, the transition is governed by rules.
Yes.
There's a law governing it. And that law stipulates what is to be done.
So people should learn to...
People should take up the Constitution and understand what the law says. We're a country governed by laws. People must not continue to allow themselves to be misled with fake news on the social media. That, look, this is what the law says. If you don't do this, the law says for you to be this, you must be this. So if you don't meet this, the law does not allow you to go to the next step. So people need to make themselves conversant with what our law says. In that way, we'll become a better citizen, we'll become better informed, to contribute, properly to our society.
There it is. Thank you very much. Nelson, thank you so much for coming on this show.
I'm very honored
And
to
thank
be
you
here.
for your very distinguished opinion that you have shared with Nigerians.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Okay, for our viewers, well, we are saying to you that it's never over on Close Flow. So just go to our social media handles and be sure that you continue the conversation, as it were, with Nelson, so that, like he says, you just have to be properly informed so you can play your own role also as a responsible citizen and stop fake news. Until next time, bye for now.